this is this moment in time for this generation right now. CTV is what's next. More viewers, more eyeballs are going to connected TV, what's streaming TV, and the ability to tell your brand's story and attract new awareness and sales through that channel is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire career.
Hello and welcome to the Next Level Supply Chain with GS1 US, a podcast in which we explore the mind-bending world of global supply chains, covering topics such as automation, innovation, unique identity, and more. I'm your co-host, Reid.
And I'm Liz.
And welcome to the show. Hello and welcome to the show. We're so glad that you can join us today. Our guest is the founder and CEO of Avenue7Media. His name is Jason Boyce, and he has over 22 years of experience selling online. He's done it all. And if you're struggling getting your company to the next level, if you're struggling boosting sales, or even just wondering how to get started, you've landed at the right place. He shares a wealth of experience with us today, and we couldn't be more happy to have him with us. Let's jump right into the episode. Hey, Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Reid. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're glad you could carve out the time, and I'm excited for this conversation. Before we jump into everything, if you could, just for our audience, just give a little background on yourself, how you got to where you are, and what you're doing today.
Sure. So Reid, we talked a little bit about this before we started the podcast today. I had some learning differences in college. It took me 8 years to graduate from college. It was like the Tommy Boy degree. You know, there's a lot of people that take 8 years to graduate from college, and his smart ass friend says, yeah, they're called doctors. Well, that's not me. I'm not a doctor. It just took me a long time to get through. And then I joined the Marines, their officer candidate program. I did that for 4 years. And then I jumped in this thing called e-commerce and Amazon selling immediately after that. And I can tell you my standard joke, Reid, is the difference between being in the Marines or being a Marine and being a big Amazon seller is that the Marines was easier. E-commerce is very challenging. I've made so many mistakes and learned from them over 22 years. I've figured this e-commerce game out. And I was an Amazon seller. I started off as a reseller, just reselling other people's products, and then realized quickly as Amazon adapted and changed that being a brand and building a brand was a better way to make more profit. So I did that, ran that business for about 17 years, had an exit. And then I thought I'd start consulting because I had all this experience in e-commerce and building a brand and managing Amazon specifically. I was a terrible consultant, Reid, because I would get in the call with these founders or, e-commerce or marketplace managers. And I'd say, okay, here's the 35 things you need to do before our next meeting in 2 weeks or a month. And then I'll check in on you. And then I'd check in, of course, in 2 weeks or a month. Of course, they got none of it done. Right. And I got really frustrated and I was like, forget it. Just give it to me. I will hire the team. We will do the work. Just pay me X and I will help you do this myself because it's no judgment, but I know you've got other things to do and it's hard to learn this whole new field. So that's how Avenue7Media was born. Is my failed consultancy turned into sort of a full service agency. Of course, now we've figured out how to be consultants as well as managed service providers and executors of the plans that we deliver. And that's what we do. We work with brands anywhere from startup challenger brands all the way up to, we've got several in the Fortune 500 group that we manage and everyone in between. We help brands decipher, decode, translate what Amazon is and how to survive on the biggest, baddest e-commerce platform ever created.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was around when Amazon started and launched and bought a book from them and the whole Barnes and Noble fight. And now they do everything under the sun and it's constantly changing. So what's the current landscape look like today, specifically to Amazon? What are the things that are affecting the brands, today?
Oh, it's a great question, Reid. There's a lot. The last 3 days I was at Amazon headquarters and I was meeting with folks on their teams with different departments. I can't believe how many people are there now. I mean, there's so many high-rise buildings that they occupy there in downtown Seattle. I was reflecting on my drive home. I'm in Portland, Oregon now. So I was driving home back from Seattle and reflecting just how much Amazon has changed, honestly, for the better in the last couple of years. Like, for example, I never would have been invited to meetings like I just came from. The people that are managing the online marketplace and for Amazon really do care, and they're trying to make this platform better. some of the challenges, and these are some that I shared with them even yesterday, are, with you guys, with GS1, the UPC code is a big problem. A lot of these brands that were big brands before, they didn't sell direct on Amazon, but they sold through a distributor, or maybe they still sell through a distributor, or they allowed some of these young upstarts who knew the platform to sell for them. We call those resellers. And so resellers and distributors are not always exacting when they create a listing. But the listing goes live on Amazon and it may have an incorrect UPC code for whatever reason. Maybe it was a typo. Maybe there was other reasons. It could have the wrong brand name value. Instead of Acme X, it's Acme Y. Someone accidentally uploaded that. Some intern accidentally uploaded it incorrectly. However, that listing has been live and running for 10 years and it's got great reviews and it's got great history. And now the brand wants to take it over, have a direct relationship, and they have these things called locked attributes and they can't fix those. You'll lose all the metadata, the reviews, the history and all that stuff. And nobody wants to do that. And so, of course, our group works closely, appreciates, the support from GS1 to help update on the UPC codes. But we also figured out ways to do that, but it's really hard. And so I will leave one bit of good news, Reid. Amazon said, we're going to fix that. And so they're going to, if you're brand registered brand and you've done all the right things, they told me yesterday that they're going to work on fixing that so that a true owner of the brand who's registered properly should be able to unlock those attributes and fix it. That's just the tip of the iceberg, Reid, right? That's on the challenging side. I thought I'd lead with that because, we always appreciate GS1 support on the UPC code front, which is never easy, but you guys make it a lot easier and we appreciate that. And then there's also on the exciting front. I mean, one of the things we used to tell brands when they would come to us is like, if you don't have any brand awareness, and a simple way to measure that, Reid, would be like, go to Google and see what your branded search volume. How many people are searching your brand on Google? How many people are searching your brand on Amazon? If that number is really small, we used to tell brands, well, you're not really ready for Amazon. Go find an audience with Google. Go find an audience with Meta or Facebook or Instagram or one of those, or now even TikTok. And so it wasn't a place to build awareness for your brand. It was a place to capture sales. It was very bottom of funnel. What's happened in the last couple of years, which is really exciting, is now you can build an audience with Amazon's data, and Amazon knows what you buy. Facebook knows what you like, but Amazon knows what you buy. And then you can go all the way up to connected TV and streaming TV ads. And we are seeing with some of our clients, Reid, this is insane. We are seeing conversion rates from the TV commercial itself, from any streaming channel you can name, click-throughs from the TV commercial to the Amazon cart, approaching conversion rates for Shopify stores. So like we're talking watching a TV, click on your Roku remote, the OK button, it adds to cart, it's there that night or the next morning. So it's just crazy what Amazon has been able to do with that. So now you can actually build a brand on Amazon. You can go full funnel. And not only do those TV ads help your Amazon sales, it's driving sales on your Walmart store or your .com store. So it's just a whole new ball game, Reid. And it's just, for me, I've been doing this for a very long time, like 22 years. I started selling in 2002. I guess it's 23 years now. Gosh, I missed a year. It's just a very, very exciting time for challenger brands to do the right thing and become the brand names for the next 100 years right now, right in this moment.
I've noticed the subtle changes throughout the years, watching YouTube TV and just watching YouTube and going through these different attributions and different things that are happening. And it's subtle. I mean, you're seeing QR codes that are being played, but there's other things that are happening. And I don't think the everyday person really appreciates all the work that's done on the back end to make this happen, because there is a huge play of co-opetition here, where you mentioned it. It's Walmart, it's Shopify, it's Amazon, it's all these other places where it is a web of connections and everyone's playing off of everyone. So I'd like to dig in a little bit more about the benefits of these new advertising tools, such as Amazon Demand Side Platform and Amazon Connected TV. What are some of the common mistakes that brands are making leveraging these new tools? And what are some of the wins that they're getting by leveraging them?
We'll start at the bottom and stair step our way up to that final question, Reid. So When I started selling on Amazon back in the Stone Age, when I was, wheeling to my warehouse in a horse and buggy, there was no advertising. You listed your product, Amazon went and got the traffic. They drove the sale. I paid 15% and I was so happy because at the time I was trying to use calculus equations to determine what my eBay fees were. It was a damn nightmare. And they had a fraction of the traffic that Amazon was able to generate. I don't know how they generated it, but it was amazing. The next phase of Amazon, they introduced what's called sponsored advertising. So this is keyword search, PPC, pay-per-click advertising on Amazon that drives traffic to your listing. That was sort of the game for a long time. And that sponsored ads, that PPC keyword ads is still a very important part of a full funnel advertising stack to drive traffic on Amazon. But then they introduced something called demand side platform, DSP. So there's lots of DSPs out there, Reid. Google has one. Other folks have one. Walmart now has a budding on-site DSP platform. So it's this platform where you can, instead of paying for a keyword click to get to your traffic, you can actually identify audiences to serve display advertising to, mobile video, online video, all the way up to TV advertising. And so what we do at Avenue 7 is a full funnel stack because all of these things work together, including organic sales, in order to drive growth on your business and on Amazon and in e-commerce in general. If you ain't growing, you're dying. And so we focus on those things. And so all of these tools, Reid, and for that matter, everything Amazon has ever introduced has been really terrible at launch, right? It's just sponsored ads was terrible when it launched. 5 years later, it was amazing. DSP was terrible when it launched. 5 years later, I swear by it. Every one of our clients are moving towards DSP. CTV, when it started, we couldn't get any attribution. A couple of years later, this is the most amazing thing in my mind, Reid, since 1947, when TVs first started going into US households. And this little company nobody ever heard of, then there were 90 other companies like them called Procter & Gamble, moved all their radio advertising to this new medium called TV ads. Nobody ever heard of them. And they rode that wave to becoming, of course, a household name with many, many brands underneath their umbrella. This is this moment in time for this generation right now. CTV is what's next. More viewers, more eyeballs are going to connected TV, what's streaming TV, and the ability to tell your brand's story and attract new awareness and sales through that channel is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire career.
That is so exciting to hear. And I love the history lesson you shared with us a bit. And it makes me think back to, where we started in this conversation about, UPC codes and your GTINs, your global trade item numbers that Amazon is requiring of people, but they have history to them and they were put in incorrectly. So there's this wrong data log of information and we're trying to fix that and change it. It's a challenge for companies. You brought up Procter & Gamble. They've been around for a really long time. The use of UPCs has been around for 50 years. And now we're leveraging it in this digital ecosystem for lots of good reasons, but it's still a challenge, right? And you brought it to when the things are launched, there's a lot of learnings. It's a bumpy road. It takes a while for it to really smooth out. I love the examples that you're sharing. What are some of the common misconceptions about selling and advertising on Amazon? Do you have any tips for how brands can think differently about this?
Yes, absolutely. And then if we have time, I'll tell you an embarrassing story about the first time I ever entered a UPC code into Amazon back in the Stone Age when I was an early seller. But talking about the advertising and the misperception, whenever we talk to a prospective client, the first thing we tell them, forget everything you know about retail. Forget it. Amazon is different. You're not selling to a human being. They're not trying to cut a PO. I mean, you can do that through vendor, right? If you're a big brand, they will invite you to sell directly to them on a wholesale basis. But if you're a seller and you're mostly in control of your own destiny on the platform, we tell everyone, forget about what you know about retail. Amazon is different. Some of these brands have been B2B brands for their entire existence, and now they're trying to come into this model. And I consider Amazon to be a direct-to-consumer model. DTC, because you are literally interacting with Amazon shoppers in order to get the sale. And so the first thing I tell them is you're not selling to a buyer, you're selling to the algorithm. You must feed the algorithm. There's a black box, super long list, probably a mile long, of things that help you get organic search results, help you get better placement on your advertising, etc. But I can tell you there are two things that matter above all else: clicks and sales. And if you are in a category where your competitors or rivals, as we call them, that's one of our 7 avenues, is rivals. If your rival is playing the game appropriately and they're paying for ads and they have good organic rank and you're not paying for those clicks, the algorithm will work against you. And you will never break up into that top tier in search results, never break up into that top positioning, and you will lose placement out after placement. And your cost of placement will be considerably higher compared to those who are doing that. So, I mean, they're no dummies, Amazon. They like to make their money. The clicks that are paid and the external traffic that you generate from outside awareness, as well as the clicks that you get on platform, really drive rank. If you're not doing it, you're not competing, and you will not survive. So I think that's like the first step, Reid, is just understanding this is a $1 trillion+ company. They own online market share in the United States. Depending on who you talk to, it's 40% to 60% online market share. That's a $1 trillion market. Amazon, via some estimates, did, about 600 billion in the year prior. So that is a very big market. A Walmart superstore has maybe 150,000 SKUs in it. That's a lot of SKUs. Amazon has 1 billion. And so they're automated. There's a lot of AI. There's a lot of machine learning. There's a lot of systems. Know the algorithm, feed the algorithm, compete, and you can win on that channel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Next Level Supply Chain with GS1 US. Today we have a special, exciting news to share with you. A special podcast discount for our favorite event of the year.
GS1 Connect?
You got it, Liz! Our annual supply chain focused conference, and in 2025, it's in Nashville.
Yeah, Music City. I cannot wait, and I can actually drive there, which is amazing. Reid, how many GS1 Connects have you been to?
I've been to 6. This will be my 7th.
Awesome. I've been coming to GS1 Connect before it was called GS1 Connect, and I do love meeting all of our attendees every single year who bring so many great examples from grocery, food service, retail, and healthcare. And they talk about how they solve supply chain visibility challenges. And in 2025, Nashville gives us a good reason to pun how GS1 standards can help amplify impact on your supply chain operations.
I see what you're doing there, but that is correct. GS1 Connect is your chance to harmonize operations with the power of GS1 standards.
And wait, GS1 Connect is also the perfect place to orchestrate networking connection with trading partners.
How about that? Discover the greatest hits of supply chain efficiencies from across various industries.
Okay, I think that's enough music puns for the day. Maybe one more. If you have an achy breaky supply chain, GS1 Connect in Nashville is a place to help cure what ails you. So mark your calendars for June 10th through 12th and join us at GS1 Connect. It's time to take your supply chain game to the next level. And as a podcast listener, we are able to extend a special discount.
Yeah, that's right, Liz. As a podcast listener, you can get a 10% off the registration price. Simply go to gs1connect.org to register and enter the promo code 25podcast10 to take advantage of this offer. If you've never gone to GS1 Connect before or have gone a dozen times, there's always something new to learn and new people to meet.
Again, the website is gs1connect.org and the promo code is 25podcast10. See you there.
It's amazing to me. We've heard the cost of doing business on Amazon has gone up. And I think from what you just shared, it's just a natural that this is commerce. This is the environment. You want to move quickly. You got to feed this algorithm. Is that a fair statement? I mean, like I've been hearing this. I don't live in this in a daily way that you do. I mean, we move in and out of this for different reasons, but are we seeing this across all platforms?
Well, look, I can speak to the Amazon platform specifically. Anytime you own the customer, Amazon knows what you buy and they know who are the buyers, right? They own that base. Do you know anyone that doesn't have the Amazon Prime app on their phone? I don't. I don't know anybody that doesn't have it and aren't buying things on Amazon, if not daily, weekly, at least, certainly monthly. My 75-year-old mother buys on that thing every day. Boxes are showing up at her doorstep. She loves it, right? That's crazy to think about that. My mom, who's 75, is buying things on a phone and arriving to her doorstep. When you have that kind of market power and the shoppers are coming to you, because let's face it, Amazon did a better job than every one of their competitors. They beat the pants off of everybody for the last 23 years as I watched it happen in real time. And as a result of that, all the customers are there. The prime value is huge. So it makes sense to me that they would want to get paid and supported for that. There's a lot of services on that. We get that complaint a lot, Reid, where a brand will come to us and say, I'm not making any money on Amazon. Then we show them our P&L that we create for everybody so that it looks like a QuickBooks P&L. And then they realize they are making money. It's hard to find whether they're making money. Look, the fees compared to when I started, it was only 15%. Then advertising came in there. Then it went to 25, 50%. And then they introduced this amazing FBA program where you can scale without having to build warehouses and manage staff for a warehouse. And then there's another 10, 15% in there. So you're paying about 40, but you're getting real value. The other thing that we do when a client or prospective client comes to us and says, these fees are outrageous, I can't make any money on Amazon. First, we find out what's truth. Second, we compare it to what they think they're making on their direct to consumer channel on Shopify. And when you adjust and line the numbers and compare apples to apples costs, here's what we have learned. The cost of acquisition on Amazon is a fraction of the cost of customer acquisition on Shopify. They are pouring money into the top of the funnel to get people to their website. Secondly, most DTC brands don't calculate the pack, pick, and outbound shipping costs in the same way that FBA delivers it. The FBA fee, it captures storage, it captures pick, pack, and outside delivery. Many times that combined cost is less than the FedEx or UPS bill for each shipment coming out of their DTC. So they're not really comparing apples to apples. When they do, depending on categories, sometimes Amazon can be more expensive, but they're very well within range. And so it's not that sellers shouldn't complain about increasing fees. Nobody likes increasing fees, and now we've got a tariff problem. So everyone's panicked about that. But I just think that, in my opinion, it's a little bit overblown in the market. And if they compare apples to apples with their other channels, I don't know. Amazon's a pretty good gig right now, Reid.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point. I mean, it's a mature market. It's still growing, but it's not infantile anymore. It's not net new. It's not day zero. It's been around. And like you said, there was no advertising, and then there was advertising. And now we're up to commercial TV advertising. It's very targeted. Your return on investment is a lot more data driven with guarantees, as opposed to, hey, let's put a billboard up on, Highway 95 and see what it kind of brings to you. It's like, oh, no. Not only do we know how many people are going to go buy that billboard, we know the age, we know the gender, we know what they're into, we know what's trending. The list of we know is so much more high fidelity. So much more than, 2,000 cars driving by.
Let me add some more color to that. Think about the linear TV industry, which is really in trouble, right? It's been in a 45-degree decline now for several years because streaming is just a better experience. In the old days, and even now, there's linear TV ads going on today where you've got folks that are telling you this show is really good. Your demographic, your audience is watching this show. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people watching that linear TV show that are not my audience. And you're telling me I have to pay for the whole show placement, and I have to pay for all those folks and hope for the best, because you can't tell me when somebody watches that show if they're going to end up to the cart. Amazon, for the first time in history, in any meaningful way, you can serve your ads only to that sliver of folks watching that inventory, that television show, to your audience only. So you're spending less. You're not setting cash on fire at the top of the funnel.
I pay for that.
Right. And then once you serve that, for the first time ever, you can build a retargeting audience campaign, and you can retarget those folks all over the internet and show them mobile video ads and show them display ads and remind them with your value proposition over and over again until they purchase. That's just insane. Then you add on the ability, I'm watching a show and Mattress Topper pops up and it says, click OK to add to cart. Click. It goes right into my shopping cart. Like, that's nuts. That's amazing. That's like what linear TV wishes it could have been when it grew up. Now Amazon has done that. And it is insanely powerful. And let me tell you one more thing, Reid. It's insanely cheap right now. It's not always going to be cheap, but right now it can be as inexpensive to run television ads on Amazon streaming channels and other streaming channels through Amazon than it is to run a Facebook display ad, which has really struggling attribution thanks to the Apple changes that happened a couple of years ago. So it is incredibly exciting. It's like the future is now. It is here. Every challenger brand, in my opinion, should have DSP. They should be running CTV ads so they can become the brand of the future.
The next P&G, if you will. We've come a long way from the Willy Wonka smell-o-vision prototype. So let's talk a little bit about the future of e-commerce and what's evolving, and how do you think businesses should be preparing? What do you see coming in the future?
Well, the most interesting thing, and of course it's always in the news now, is what does generative AI mean to the old e-commerce way? The old e-commerce way is you use search, you browse. Maybe it's hard to browse Amazon because there's so many categories, but other e-commerce websites, it's relatively easy to browse. And the question is that the way people are going to be shopping 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Amazon has this product called Rufus, where you go and you tell it what you're looking for. It does the thinking, the searching for you, and delivers potential products that meet your needs. Perplexity is another company that's out there. It's very interesting. They're definitely a Gen AI company, but they're also trying to build sort of this shopper. It's almost like a digital personal shopper platform. Sometimes these things will deliver really wild results. Other times you're like, dang, that's really good. And that just saved me 15 minutes of search time, or maybe 30 minutes of browse time and search time. And I think that is going to be something that's going to be very interesting to watch. There will still be a big need for marketing and introducing your brand to new customers who don't know who you are, but who you can fill their needs. And I think a lot of this stuff is going to continue to evolve. Certainly Amazon is at the forefront of this. Perplexity is very interesting. There's a couple of others that are out there. And then, of course, Amazon already, in some of the Rufus results, you can see ad placements interspersed with the actual results from the generative AI system that delivered them. And so I think this is a very interesting time, very interesting space. E-commerce hasn't evolved a lot in the 23 years that I've been doing it. You put a product up there, you click on it, you add it to cart, but things are changing rapidly. And so we're trying to get in the forefront with our own AI, with our own tech and tools and agents and LLMs as well. But it is a very interesting, exciting time. I'm somebody, Reid, who hates to shop. I hate shopping. I hate shopping in stores. I hate shopping online. If I want something, I want to go ask this tool a question and have it tell me what I should buy. And I'm really excited about that. My wife is less so. She likes to shop. I don't understand that, but there's going to be a mix of both, but definitely there is room and opportunity in the generative AI personal shopper space. And I think that's the future.
We could talk about this for days, and you have me jazzed up. I'm not a shopper myself, but I've noticed subconsciously Amazon has won me over. I remember it was like 5 years ago, I was sitting in a meeting and somebody said, "Oh, I saw this new thing." And two people next to me went right to their phones and they're like, "Oh, I'll get it tomorrow." And I'm like, "Did you just buy that?" Like, I'd never thought of it that way. I just never thought of it. It was that moment in time. And then now I do that. And I think we consume a lot more than my bank account likes. But anyway, we have to wrap things up. And I want to finish with our two common questions that we ask all of our guests. What is your favorite technology that you're using today? Could be personal, could be professional.
Oh boy, great question. Well, look, I'm using generative AI tools just like everyone. ChatGPT, deep research, very cool. Grok, X's deep research tool, very cool. It's amazing the things that it can deliver. And then Claude is another one. I'm actually playing around with all of these generative AI tools because they're very fascinating. And I find them, I can't decide if they save me more time or take more of my time because the outputs that they have are so interesting. Right now, that's my favorite.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And I know the feeling. You can kind of get wrapped up in it. So here's our last question. What's something new you want to learn in the future?
We've been a tech-enabled agency for a long time. But just like we were talking about how shopping is going to change with generative AI and different sort of AI technologies. The questions and the things that we're learning is we're trying to build SaaS tool that a kind of SaaS tool that's next. I think the days of the dumb dashboard SaaS tool are quickly coming to an end. And we're trying to create and learn as quickly as we can. We got an amazing tech team over here. They're 100 times smarter than me. I feel bad because they're always trying to dumb stuff down for me. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But, what I want to learn is, and what we're working on and developing right now is how to deliver a kind of SaaS tool that is a brand growth strategist brain that does the things that humans had to do before, not to replace humans, but to help them and supplement them. And can we do it in a way that consumers of this data and information will use it? You used a great example of when people started shopping on Amazon online. Another great example we talk about internally all the time is when Uber came along. I remember my little brother, who was one of those early adopters, saying, I just took Uber. I'm like, what the hell is Uber? He's like, oh, it's just some random person with a car. I have an app and I get in the car. I'm like, I'm never doing that. And I was getting in a dirty taxi and overpaying. And it didn't take long before now I only Uber everywhere I go, right? And so my curiosity is, A, how quickly can we build what's next? And B, how can we get to that tipping point that Uber did and the Amazon did so that everyone sees that this is the future of software? That's what I'm most curious about. I'm obsessing about this everywhere I go, whether I'm on a walk. Unfortunately, my wife reminds me when I'm having dinner with my family. I'm always thinking about this, and it's the most exciting thing I think that I've ever had the pleasure of researching and being a part of in my entire career.
Well, this is fantastic. And I can't thank you enough for your time, Jason, and your passion. I mean, it comes through. We could talk about this for days. This is some really exciting stuff. Yes, it's been 23 years that you've been at it, but it seems that it has more energy and more launch and more elevation that's coming out of what's happening today than when you even started. And not a lot of careers have that. So I wish you continued success, and I want to thank you for spending some time with us here today.
Reid, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. And thank you for all of your support over the years from GS1. We can't do what we do without your guys' support. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining the Next Level Supply Chain with GS1 US. If you enjoyed today's show, you can subscribe to our feed or explore more great episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to share and follow us on social media. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.